Hello students, I am Assistant Professor Miss Mori Poonam from Sri Mudhai Devi Shikshan Sanstha's Professor Sambhajirao Kadam College Devur. Today's lecture is for B.Sc first semester first Statistics Paper 1 Mathematical Statistics and Lecture 1 of Unit 1 is Statistical Methods. Definition of statistic is statistic may be defined as collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. Collection of data, it is the first step of statistical methods. Next, presentation of data, it is the second stage in the statistical investigation to classify the data and put it in the form of tables. Analysis of data is a third step. Statistical techniques like measures of central tendency, measures of variation, correlation are calculated, and these figures tell us much about the problem. Interpretation of data, this is the last stage in the process, and it is the most difficult part requiring high degree of skill and experience. Statistical techniques are applied in various fields. The four main fields are agriculture, economics, medicines, and engineering. In agricultural, the success of our green revolution can to some extent be credited to the use of statistical techniques in design and analysis of agricultural experiment. And in economics, the conclusion of economics is in production, taxation, import, export are all based upon the statistical data and statistical methods. The third application is in medicines. The effectiveness of any drug is determined through experiments, first on animals and then on men on sample basis. In engineering, in industry, statistical techniques used to control the quantity of product to design and test new products. The statistical techniques are used in other sciences like geology, biology, psychology, sociology, and metrology. Next point is function of statistics. First is it presents a phenomenon in numerical form. Statistic presents a phenomenon in figure which can give a reader a clear and precise idea of what the phenomenon is. Next function of statistic is it simplifies complex data. By using statistical methods, the data can be arranged properly and a few figures can be calculated, which will reveal the whole story of the problem. Third function is it facilitates comparison. By placing figures side by side involved in a phenomenon, comparisons can be made easily. Fourth one is it measures result. Statistic can measure the influence of any factor in a total phenomenon. Fifth is it helps to forecast. It is one of the major objects of a human activity to forecast the future. Every one of us is interested in knowing what will happen tomorrow. That is, statistic is used in forecasting. Sixth is it helps to formulate policies. If we can predict the future, we may plan our actions accordingly. Statistic makes planning more exact and more reliable. It is true that statistic is used in many fields in many ways. It is not free from limitation. The limitations of statistics are first is it is not useful for individual cases. Second is it cannot study qualitative phenomena like honesty, beauty, sincerity, and intelligence. Third is its result true only on an average. That is, the results obtained through statistics are not applicable to every individual case. Fourth is statistical results are subject to bias. Experienced statistician tries his level best to be objective, and although objective methods used, the result cannot be completely free from personal bias. The fifth limitation of the statistic is it can be misused. Statistical results are expressed in figures. It is easy to convince anybody by statistical methods. Therefore, statistics can be misused. The next definition is population. The group of items or observations under study is called a population. For example, if we are going to study economic survey of farmers, then the group of farmers of a village is a population. Next definition is elementary unit. The individual member of the population is called elementary unit. That is, every farmer of the village is a elementary unit. Finite population. If the group under observation consists of finite items, then the population is called finite population. For example, to study student of a particular college for their health and intelligence, or to study the class of particular student of particular class. Next definition is infinite population. If there are infinite number of items in a group, then the population is called infinite population. Example, tossing a coin till we get head, the number of tosses is an infinite population. Next definition is sample. A sample may be defined as the group of items selected for a statistical study according to certain statistical methods of collecting a sample. We are all familiar with the sample study. That is, we use sampling in daily life. When we test a slice of mango and decide the quality of all mangoes of the box, that is the example of sample survey. There are two types of data. First is primary data. The definition is any data that an investigator collects himself are termed as primary data. There are four methods of collection of primary data. The first method is direct personal observation or interview. In this method, the investigator observes the member of the population, interviews them, and collect the necessary information from them. This is the direct personal observation or interview method. Next is indirect investigation. In this method, the investigator approaches witnesses and collect data from them. Third method is questionnaire method. In this method, required information is collected in question answer form. A list of questions called questionnaire is prepared and is sent to the informant by post or with a trained person called the enumerator. That is, by post or through enumerator, we collect the primary data. The fourth is through local correspondence. In some problems, information is required to be collected at regular interval. Every time new information is received, the data are kept up to date. The agencies supplying information regularly are called correspondents. The next type of data is secondary data. Data taken from figures collected by others are termed as secondary data. The use of secondary data cannot have understanding of the background as the user of primary data. There are 5 sources of secondary data. First is government publications. All the government bodies, central, state, or local, collect data on various social and economic problems and publish them for the benefit of public. This is the first method of collection of secondary data. Next is journals and magazines. Various journals are devoted to social and economic problems. These data are therefore reliable and used as a source of secondary data. Third is publication of foreign government and international bodies. The international bodies like United Nations Organization, World Health Organization, World Bank, and the foreign governments publish data which can be used for the study of various problems. Fourth is publication of private organization. Private bodies such as various chambers of commerce, banks, cooperative bodies collect data for their own problems and use, but these data can be used as secondary data to study other problems. And the last source of secondary data is publication of educational and research institute. Research institutes, universities, and other educational institutes are always engaged in some sort of social, economic, and educational research. These are the sources of secondary data. Thank you.